and restaurants. Widespread across industries as well as regions inside the United States, we are under a major cyber attack by what appears to be a foreign power. We also have an assistant manager going to be sharing with us what's going on with Dollar Tree, talking about their delivery schedules and what's going on with that. Insider information there. We also have an earthquake in Idaho. Also a major cattle barn fire in Illinois. And things are heating up in northern Israel. Potentially a hot war going to be happening there very, very soon. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates that you guys are sending in on what's going on out there in the world, as well as what you're seeing in your local communities. Please do keep your reports coming in. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people who have retirement accounts like 401ks, IRAs, and they want to diversify some of that into gold, silver, or platinum coins. Jonathan and his team at Genesis Gold can help get you information on how you do that, what the fees are regarding that, and answer all of your questions about whether you want to move a portion over or all of your retirement over. They can answer that. There'll be a link at the end of the video. Illinois, Rock Island Livestock Auction barn is a giant barn for auctions. They were mostly empty, but we're talking about multiple football field sized buildings, all wood, that caught fire, and the whole thing is a total loss. Only one bull was lost. They were able to save 22 cows, and the rest, the rest of the place was empty apparently. So that is a blessing, but major fire out there. It could have been way worse, of course, if there were people in there. They were able to keep the fire from spreading to neighboring buildings. A 4.9 earthquake north of Boise, Idaho. I know a lot of folks have set up shop out there in Idaho, either getting out of Washington State or Oregon, where things have gone decidedly leftist. That is one of the bastion areas that preparedness folks have been moving towards. So 4.9 is not like super rough, and also with the mountains, that does kind of mitigate some of the shaking as well. But it also means that with an earthquake, things can fall off mountains. So that's what happened there. Northern Israel. Northern Israel is being bombarded by another wave of missiles and drone strikes, and apparently a Israeli drone worth about $2 million was shot down by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is seemingly like they are trying to provoke a war, trying to provoke an invasion into southern Lebanon by Israel, and it looks like Israel may oblige them of that in the near future. It seems like a lot of forces are being deployed to northern Israel to support that type of operation, but we have not seen evidence that operation is going to go forward just yet. We'll keep our eyes on that, though. The last pirate in the middle of Georgia, which is not where I would have thought the last pirate would be, but yeah, okay. They share this. My local Dollar General was forced to throw away almost $15,000 of frozen and fresh foods. One, I never would have expected a Dollar General to have that much frozen and fresh foods. $15,000. Maybe their Dollar Generals are different down there than they are up here in Pennsylvania. But they also the reason for that was due to being close to expiration dates. Within 5 days of expiration, the stores throw it all out. Lots of dry goods, as well as long storage items. Milk, eggs, cheese were the major items discarded. I drove by the store later that night after closing, and 2 cars were dumpster diving for their thrown away foods. It has gotten serious, folks. Paula says the town of Osceola, I guess, Iowa, has a town in Iowa has had to turn off all non-essential water sources, people and businesses. It is bad. They don't have water. The the groundwater has dried up. We haven't been getting a lot of rain in those areas, and it's filtered down into the aquifer. The schools are bringing in bottled water from Hy-Vee, which is the store there, which tastes just like tap water. I refuse to buy their water. I don't know what's going on, but it may become a ghost town if they can't figure out the water problem. Need some rain. Need some rain, and a lot of farms are using the water table as well for irrigation and such. A viewer says, my wife works for a third-party support company that handles various clients. Her company was one of the ones affected by the pharmacy cyber attack this past week. Today, she wakes up to further chaos. Her company's entire VPN, or virtual private network, service is down now. No one knows when it is going to be, what is going on beyond the absolutely no customers can contact her company at all. So they can't receive any calls. They can't interact with clients at this time. And, you know, how many companies are not able to interact, especially on medical issues as well as prescription drugs and everything like that? This is paralyzing the whole network of how our medical system works. If you didn't realize that there are like 2 administrators for every doctor out there, or more, that's probably conservative. That's what our medical system looks like nowadays. Everything has to be authorized and rubber stamped, and it goes through a labyrinth of things that happen. If you've been through the medical system recently, you've experienced this. They try to hide as much of that from you as possible, but you get the feeling of when they tell you, well, it's going to take a few days for us to authorize that and get permission for this or that. John says, Aldi's in Connecticut has been out of diapers for months. I finally asked the manager why they don't have them. He said they were discontinued. I questioned further because the look on his face told me there was more to the story than he was saying. He then said, it's political. I want to toss that one out to you guys. If you have any idea what that's about, let us know. But no diapers in Aldi's because of politics, apparently. Charles says, in Huntington, West Virginia, the day that the AT&T outage, one of the 2 major hospitals in town went on code black, meaning their systems were down. A friend that works there got an alert on his phone, and when he reached out to the coworkers, they said even the IT guys could not log on to their systems. They were down for several hours before coming back online. And that's one of the things that's really gotten me starting to lean more and more towards the hacking thing with AT&T, because there have been so many hacking attacks in the last week that it's in this. I mean, it could be just happenstance, but it just seems like so many other systems were affected that it may be a hacking attack. I'm leaning towards that a little more. I know AT&T is still saying that it was a process, an illegitimate process or something like that. But see, the thing is, as they have it worded, it doesn't necessarily rule out that it was maliciously done. And there is an open FBI investigation into whether it was malicious. The government, I forget what it's called, but it's something about there's a government agency that basically its responsibility is the security of infrastructure inside the United States, particularly from hacking attacks and such like that. And that entity is partnering with the FBI for this investigation to see if critical U.S. infrastructure was attacked through a cyber attack. So that is underway, and they have not ruled it out. They haven't stopped investigating, okay? This is from a viewer in Alabama. New neighbor tried to get his phone service connected, landline. AT&T told him no service was available. The landlines are being removed from service as they are disconnected. So AT&T won't let them hook up a new landline. So if you're trying to get a landline or you're thinking about getting a landline, you may not be allowed to get a landline. In a lot of areas, that seems to be what's going on right now, is that if you have a landline, they'll let you keep it, but they're not going to install any new ones. And as they come out, that's it for those places. Ellens says, I do billing for a local behavior health hospital. I have been getting daily messages through our billing clearinghouse regarding the Change Healthcare mess. You see how this is just rippling through the entire medical industry? We can't bill to some insurances until it's cleared up, and so far there is no time frame for it being fixed. Our clearinghouse has disconnected from Change Healthcare for now. So they've completely disconnected their computer systems so they're not hacked through the software, right? Also, I was at my veterinarian's office on Friday. They were frazzled as their computer system they use has been down all day. Just one place after the next, after the next, after the next. This is definitely an uptick compared to what we've seen in the past. Things are definitely happening, friends. Be aware that your cell phone, your internet, your power can all disappear. As I've been doing some digging into the Volt Typhoon, these guys, people have been talking about them in the background in the security realm because they're very concerned about what they're doing. They're seeing them attacking basically the internet-facing websites and stuff like that of these power companies and such. They're going after infrastructure, and they're burrowing in to the front, the public-facing side, trying to get all the information they can in order to cross over into the side that actually controls turning on power plants and regulating voltage on lines and all that kind of stuff. The evidence is that they haven't gotten into those systems yet, but they are actively trying to get into those systems, and they seem to be doing a very professional job at trying to crack into those systems. We've been told so many times by the U.S. federal government that's not possible. All the best systems are in place. It's just not possible to get that to access those systems remotely. And yet we see these guys really trying hard to get into those systems. So that on top of all the little hiccups we're seeing across our economy. Rhonda Register says, I worked at a large radiology department of a trauma center, and everything is done there by computers. 2 people are responsible for just billing all the radiology procedures. And I'm sure those folks are not having a good week so far. Bay says, I work in a school in South Central Pennsylvania and just started last week, we suddenly have stopped having fresh fruit varieties and choices. We were having choices between nice large oranges, apples, pears, bananas, occasionally plums, or boxed raisins. Starting last Tuesday, the choices were a 1-inch diameter sweetie. From my internet searches, that seems to be about sweet grapefruits, like from Israel, but I think that may also be a term for the little tangerines or oranges, but you guys might know better than I will about that. But 1-inch diameter sweeties and raisins. That was it. No other fruit. On Friday, they did add very small red pears. Perhaps it was a delivery problem, but not sure. Well, we're seeing fruit issues out there for sure, all over the place, aren't we? Talon says, I'm in Prescott, Arizona, and a few days ago I went to Applebee's to eat, and they told me all the Applebee's computer systems were down across the nation. Is that just a little hiccup? Why does it seem like all of our computer systems at all these different places seem to be impacted by hacking? They were writing all the orders on paper, couldn't slide any cards to pay, cash, or they wrote your credit card number down on paper. I paid cash. Probably a smart choice. Once the right person looks at that piece of paper to process your credit card, what happens to the slip of paper? Hopefully they destroy it, but then again, you never can be sure about that, right? Mellon says, Central Arkansas. I spoke with an ex-assistant manager of Dollar Tree. He said that they are not getting their trucks in now. They have a ton of snacks, but not many other food items. And that's kind of what we're seeing out there. We're not seeing the housewares. We're not seeing the toys and stuff like that being restocked very well. We're not seeing the medical sections of the stores being restocked. We're seeing snack foods restocked, and that's about it. Sometimes the food section looks a little bit better than others. Victoria says, Victoria, East Tennessee, went to Kroger today, and I was in total shock. The store is completely compressed, like someone sucked all the air out of the store. Empty shelves and spaces everywhere covered by expansive signs citing a better shopping experience. Everything in the store was moved, and it all runs together. There were at least 3 to 4 full-service cashier stations, but with the registers removed. It was truly like being in the Twilight Zone, really scary. Farmer protests have broken out across the world, and they're happening in Europe, they're happening in even Canada, they're happening all over the place, except for the United States. But one big country that you haven't probably heard about has actually some of the largest protests in all of the world, and potentially the most impactful. This country has an election coming up in just a few weeks, and these protests by the tens of thousands have marched on the Capitol and essentially laid siege to the Capitol. And it is freaking out the government there. What country am I talking about? I'm talking about India. India, the most populous country in the world, is having a major, major farming problem. We're going to get into that and a whole lot more. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and we cover news stories that are not being covered out there by other people. We cover things that are deeply going to affect your life, this is for sure. Major economic issues in the entire food space. Prices of food are going to be directly impacted by this. This country, India, is the second largest producer of wheat. Second largest producer of rice. Second largest producer of lots of things like cotton, fruits, and vegetables. You can just start tossing all sorts of things in there. And generally speaking, they're the second largest producer of these things, next to China. But also, they are the biggest exporter of rice, or at least they were until the rice controls came into play, where they cannot export any rice below a certain grade. So the very high, expensive rices, this basmati rice, jasmine rice, they can export that still, but they can't export any of the cheap stuff because they are trying to keep it so that people don't riot in the streets. But this is causing rioting in the streets because the farmers are absolutely upset. 55% of Indians are employed in agriculture. Most populous country, over 50% of the most populous country are farmers. So you can imagine how a farmer's protest might be bad when over half the country are farmers. If you can just sway all of the farmers to your political platform, you'd win all the elections. And this is definitely something that Modi, Prime Minister Modi, and the BJP party are definitely taking to heart. They have an election coming up in just a few weeks, sometime in April to May. They haven't announced all the dates just yet, but as that comes out, friends, we are going to be seeing a major showdown. The farmers are very upset with Modi. They marched back in 2021 because Modi was pushing some environmental rules, also some rules to strip farmers from their ability to retain their farmland. So he was trying to take their farmland, and he was also putting environmental rules in that would have made it practically impossible to farm rice. And I don't know if you know anything about Indian food, but rice is kind of kind of a big deal, right? And the fact that they were going to make it very difficult for them to farm rice would have hit a lot of these farmers right in the pocketbook. And these are not rich people. If you are in the farming class, or if you're a farmer over in India, you are essentially low class. So what's been going on? Well, tens of thousands of farmers, particularly of minority groups like Sikhs, Muslims, and other groups, have marched on the Capitol, and they have been blocked for the past 2 weeks because the police and troops, military troops, have set up barricades, razor wire, as well as concrete barricades, and they've manned them with soldiers and police to block all the roads that the farmers are trying to use to get into the capital city. Does that sound a little extreme? Well, it absolutely is, and it's exactly what's happening right now. They've been using tear gas, water cannons, and lots of batons. If you know anything about India, they don't spare the baton. If you are a low-class person, from their estimation, from your clothing as well as your skin color, they will beat you to within an inch of your life just for looking at them wrong. And this happens regularly in India. They are absolutely brutal with those batons. And when those uppity people of the lower classes start protesting en masse, this kind of starts to scare the government and make it shake to its core. And that's exactly what's happening right over there right now. And so they have gotten into a number of confrontations. Just in the past week, a week ago, they actually killed a protester by beating them to death. Hundreds more have been hospitalized due to injuries they've sustained at the hands of the police forces. It's very serious. And the reason why we haven't seen more injuries is, like I said, because they've erected razor wire fences in front of concrete barricades. They're not letting them get close enough to be attacked by the police. And the fact that they are shutting down major roads and avenues and building like a fortress around the capital city is kind of insane when you think about it. Now, the farmers in India don't really have tractors like they do in other places. Other places, when the concrete barriers go up, the farmers get in there with their tractors and just start moving all the barricades. Well, they haven't been doing that in India. But it's hard to say exactly what's going on in India because you're not allowed to talk about what's happening over in India. They have gone to each of the social media networks like Facebook and others, and they have told them to stop covering it completely. They're to ban all coverage of these protests whatsoever under penalty of fines and imprisonment of employees in that country. So Facebook said, yes, sir, and they took down all the posts. You can't find anything on there about it. You can't find it on Google in many cases. Hopefully, this doesn't get censored. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's mostly any videos and stuff coming out of India. I don't know if they'll ban someone from the United States talking about what's going over there in India. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not. And in addition to that, the only social media site that has pushed back on this, X or Twitter essentially, said, we are doing this under protest. And they published the request from the Indian government, exposing the Indian government for banning all content about this. Now, whether you agree or disagree with Twitter actually going through with this, they would have to essentially pull out of the whole country if they were to not go along with this. They have taken the position that if we're forced to do this by law, we will go along with it, but we will protest it whenever it happens. We will let you know that it is happening, and we won't do that. So I at least respect them for that. I respect them for exposing this from what this is happening. And when you look at other media entities inside India, you see radio silence on this. There is very little, if any, reporting on this whatsoever. It's very hard to get information on what's happening with these protests. But from what we can tell, tens of thousands. We know for sure that a protester was killed. We know that many more have been injured in the conflicts, and we've seen enough pictures of the barricades that they've built around the city. And we've heard from farmers their declared intents that they will not give up until the government of India starts to honor the promises that they made in 2021 at the previous protests, and that they will back down from some of the new things that they're trying to push on the farmers right now. There's a lot of stuff going on, but right now the Modi government is in a quandary. They don't know what to do about this because, like I said, 55% of the country are farmers. And so they can't be seen as going against the farmers. But on the other hand, if they allow the farmers into the capital, then it'll be much more public. They're trying to keep them out of eyesight. They're trying to keep them away from the public eye where people can take pictures and everything like that. There are reports that they're actually jamming cell phone signals and blocking internet connection in the areas where the farmers are. It's getting quite extreme out there as to the extent of what they're doing. They're trying to keep these farmers silent long enough for the elections to take place so that they don't get impacted by this. The BJP party is basically it is mainline Hindu nationalists. So they're trying to build a national temple in outside New Delhi. They're trying to impose laws and regulations against minority religions such as Islam, Christianity, and Sikhs, as well as others. But they're definitely cracking down hard on Muslims. They're cracking down pretty hard on Christians. A lot of the stuff that's being done by their local governments and their local affiliates and such are very much like what we saw back in Germany with the brown shirts and stuff like that, or in the United States with the Antifa, where you have these goons, these unidentifiable goons that are going out there and doing the dirty work for the government, but then the government's like, we didn't authorize that, that wasn't us, that's against the law, you can't do that. But then there's no prosecution, there's no persecution, there's no enforcement of the law against these people who are doing essentially what the government wants, but doing it in ways that are beyond the realm of law, right? And so you see that across India. Christian pastors are being beaten every day. Christian pastors are being killed every week. And this is a situation that has been going on for a while. And the local governments turn a blind eye to it all. They never seem to put anybody in jail for these things. Churches are burned on a regular basis over in India. And the lower class people, by and large, while they may not identify with the Christians, they may not identify with the Muslims, they are definitely feeling the weight of the government's boot on them as India is trying to comply with these New World Order goals, these globalist goals of reducing carbon emissions and all this kind of stuff like that, and shifting to a new economy. They're bringing it down hard on these farmers, and they're the ones expected to bear the brunt of this. So we got that, and then we also have the government banning exports of food, which means that the farmers have a lot less places that they can sell their food to. If you're forced to sell your food within the country, you can't get the higher rate, like maybe over in Thailand, or maybe over in Pakistan, or maybe another country. They're willing to pay you a lot more for that rice, but you can't send it to them because you're not allowed to export that. And so you've got a lot of these controls that are happening across the board on the farmers that they're absolutely done with. So we got social media clampdowns, we got regular media clampdowns, we got brutality against the protesters. We have a very difficult situation for the government of India that they're in right now, where they don't want to antagonize the farmers, or at least they don't want to be seen as antagonizing the farmers. They want to get reelected so that they can continue their march of Hindu nationalism and basically converting the economy over to a more manufacturing-based economy away from the farmers and trying to mechanize the farming more. Some would call it modernization, but when you start looking at the things that are going on behind the scenes, you see a lot of things that are not very friendly to, I hate to use the word democracy, but as a country that claims to be a democracy with a parliament and such like that, it's not very democratic. They are not looking out for the good of the people, but rather they're looking out for the good of the rich and powerful in India, and all of them happen to be of the same religion. All right, friends, that's what you won't hear out there from regular media. Hopefully this doesn't get blocked, but I just want to bring that to you so you're aware of some of the things that you're not hearing on the main. 60 counties in Texas now under emergency due to wildfires. That is including also a nuclear weapons site. We'll talk about that and more. Also, phones are being shut down across the country. We got more about that. Landlines particularly. People also being forced to pay cash for pills now because they can't get these processed. They can't get the insurance process. One person paying $116 for 8 pills that they needed to take. Self-checkouts are also being shut down due to thefts in one state. I'll let you guess what that state is, and you'll find out just a little bit into this update section. We're hearing about empty shelves and food shortages across the United States. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates. These are your updates coming in from all over the place, right? You guys send in your reports on what you are seeing at your workplaces, at your stores, what you're hearing out there, and we aggregate them here. Please do keep your reports coming in. Use the word update on your comments on this channel to get it to the right place. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people who have retirement accounts in stocks and bonds. This is a great time to rotate your investments over into gold, silver, or platinum. Precious metals are super cheap right now. Stocks are super high. Good time to shift over. If you want to talk to Jonathan and his team, there'll be a link at the end of the video. All right, so we start down in Texas. A disaster has been declared in 60 counties, and there are many evacuations, too many for us to keep track of right now. The big fire is the Smokehouse Creek fire, which is already past 500,000 acres, which is 800 square miles, and it's growing. It is completely uncontained as of this point. This is due to dry weather with high winds and high temperatures. There are also 13 other fires burning throughout the state, which is why we're talking about 60 counties. The Smokehouse Creek fire is now the second largest fire in state history, and it may surpass the previous largest fire. Also, there is a Pantex nuclear weapons facility. They are the largest assembler and disassembler of nuclear weapons in the United States. They take nuclear weapons apart, inspect them, and put them back together again. They assemble new ones, and they also disassemble ones that have been built. This Pantex facility is northeast of Amarillo, Texas, which is where the Smokehouse Creek fire is. They say that all the nuclear weapons are currently secure, but operations have been paused until further notice. No word if they're going to move them to safer locations or what with that. We'll keep an eye on that. Some of you guys are being directly impacted by the fire. Please help your neighbors as best you can and other people in your area if you're outside the affected area. If you're inside the affected area, please make sure that you're staying safe, making smart decisions. Don't value your property over your lives or your family's lives, please. And once again, help anyone you can possibly. D Freak says a community college in Southern Oregon was shut down for a while due to a threat. It was determined that it was a hack from out of the country. These have become a little more common, haven't they? Where we're getting bomb threats and threats of attacks. They're either being left on voicemail or they're being emailed in anonymously. And schools and universities are trying to figure out if this is coming from someone local, if this is credible, or if this is just some random person around the world sending something in. But we are seeing more and more hacking attempts on school accounts and everything like that. It's just the general reign of chaos that we're seeing out there. A viewer says, I have a close friend in the post office, and he said that the letter mail has gotten very low, along with packages, and there are rumors, more and more rumors of closing some post offices. We've been hearing the same things here. Yeah. Prepping in the Burbs says, Utah had a surgery yesterday in a major hospital, have select health insurance, and could not use the insurance to get after surgery medications. Due to cyber attack, the cyber attack was blocked from buying them unless we paid full price in cash. 8 pills cost $116. What a mess. So at least in that case, you are able to pay cash for it. Some of these places we've been hearing that you can't even pay cash for it. They can't even process those things. So do what you can to get rain checks, or if you can get promises from your insurance company or anything like that, you may be able to contact your insurance company directly and ask them for some sort of form or something like that you can submit this after the fact potentially. But it is the processing company between the hospitals and the insurance company. These are not actually the insurance companies being hacked. So you may be able to contact the insurance companies directly, but they're probably being overwhelmed by hospitals and medical providers directly trying to contact them too. FAFO says all Dollar General stores in South Georgia no longer carry frozen hamburger meat. Haven't seen it in months, and the spot isn't even in the case anymore. So we're seeing them consolidate, right? Well, I mean, with the price of beef going up like it's going to be going in the next few months, it's already going up quite a bit. They may not think that is cost effective anymore for folks. Ron says, Barnesville, Ohio, a friend's wife is an RN at a small hospital. She was called off. They told her that it was due to lack of patients. I have heard that hospitals are overrun. Sounds like they're getting cost cutting going on there, and that's quite possible. They need to save money, right? Because just the way that the hospitals are getting squeezed by the insurance companies, they can't afford to keep people on staff when they don't have enough work, right? And we're seeing this pressure happening to a lot of rural hospitals. We've been seeing a lot of rural hospitals being shut down. It's these more centralized urban center hospitals that are the ones that are overwhelmed more. XRS Pioneer says, my wife works in the veterinarian field in mid-North Carolina. They are seriously affected by the pharmacy hack as they process all the animal prescriptions. So not just human medications, but pharmacies, veterinarian pharmacies are being impacted severely as well. Aaron says, I was at my UPS store yesterday here in Elk Grove, California, to ship back a return to Amazon. Their computer systems were down there as well. They took the package but told me that they couldn't scan it until their system was fixed. Who knows when that will even happen? So more concerns about Amazon and their systems hacked. Rapid says, from Central Oklahoma yesterday, I went to a Goodwill to check for interesting items that they might have. They said Cox Internet was down, which is what they were using for payroll, payment processing, and they were unable to take any form of payment except for cash. I paid cash, but then I went to the local bank ATM. Right? You spend cash, you go get more cash, right? All the drive-up aisles were full with people waiting to interact with the live tellers. And the ATM was also down. It is very unusual to see that many cars, 1 and 2 deep, waiting to make bank transactions all at once. It prompted me to call a friend to warn her to stock up on more cash as well. If you can't use anything other than cash, and then they make it really hard for you to get cash, what do? Right? This is not, as we keep warning you to stock up on cash, we're not talking about something that it would be crazy to happen. It's stuff that actually happens. Whenever you have hurricanes come through, it knocks out power and everything like that. All you can spend is cash in a lot of places. So be aware that having cash on hand is something that is a basic need for your family for short-term issues. Teresa says, California, AT&T sent out letters to people with landlines stating their intent to close down all the landlines in California. My elderly mom is so upset. She lives in an area that does not have good, reliable cell service signals. So AT&T across California is looking to shut down their landlines. Be aware they may roll that out in your state next. If you're dependent upon your landline, see what you can do now. See if there's more reliable cell phone services. Because this may be coming your way. Jason says, local Walmart in Lancaster, California. All of the self-checkout stands were closed and the regular register lines were really long. I asked why the self-checkout was closed. I was told that Walmart is shutting down all self-checkout in California due to theft. For those of you protesting and being upset about the self-checkout lines, apparently all you need to do is just steal more stuff. Not that I'm advocating stealing anything, but apparently that's the only thing that's going to get Walmart to shut down those self-checkout lines. So that's what it is. They also continue to lock more things up. A lot of toys, camping equipment, and auto cleaning supplies were also locked up. This is in addition to what was already locked up. Camping supplies, friends. Don't they know? Guys don't steal stuff. I'm just kidding. Wow, toys and camping equipment and auto supplies. Crazy. Also, the produce quality was terrible. I needed tomatoes, but they were all nearly rotten. Sandra says, my pharmacist could not fill my prescription. He told me my insurance company had a breach. I have Medicare, Medicaid. This is not good if our national, federal Medicare and state Medicaid does not have secure computers to keep all of our private information safe. Well, it wasn't the government. It wasn't your state. It was actually, of course, once again, the Change Healthcare company. It's a clearinghouse that stands between your pharmacy and your insurance provider. So, but what you just said about all of your security information, all your social security numbers, all of your prescriptions, all of your private information like address, cell phone, all that kind of stuff, yes, that very well may have been compromised. And they're out there saying, well, there's no indication that it's been compromised. If you want to know when a government official is lying, listen when they say there is no evidence to suggest, or there is no evidence that says. When they say that, you know they're lying, because it's absolutely not true. It's just stupid. The Change Healthcare company has shut down their computer systems, and they haven't even reactivated their computer systems. They don't know what's going on in there. Their forensic guys don't know what actually happened yet. So, anyone who's out there, there's no evidence. Well, that's because the computers are still shut down. They haven't gotten in there and examined them yet. If you close your eyes, stick your fingers in your ears, and hum real loud, you can legitimately say there is no evidence. I haven't heard any evidence, and that's basically the same thing. Selah says, went to BJ's today in upstate New York. One huge produce area was completely gone. They removed the entire table. Produce was very sparse. I got the last bag of organic apples. All the coolers that used to hold cheeses, lunch meat, and other things were totally empty. They were all running but empty. There were a few blocks of cheese in the upright coolers. Once again, this is in upstate New York, but not much. Frozen fruit was limited. Milk and creamers were pretty much empty. I asked the clerk what happened to all the cheese and dairy, and she said she wasn't aware that there wasn't any. Then she said the manager was in the back working on it. I took pictures. It was so bad. Please do keep your updates coming in. If you see something, please do say something to us. Once again, leave a comment on anywhere on this channel and just use the word update in there to get to the right place. Give us some sort of geographical location if you can. The storm is here and economic chaos is taking hold. What are we seeing when we look out the window? When we look at the finances and the companies hiring and the companies firing, we're seeing more and more people being laid off. We're seeing that the labor force is becoming more and more restrictive to normal, ordinary people. The problem is you can't get a job anymore. There are jobs on the books. There are companies that are hiring, but the simple fact is they're not actually filling those positions. The participation rate, the labor participation rate is dropping and dropping fast. I don't care what the unemployment rate says. There are people dropping out of the workforce completely. They're not looking for a job anymore because they can't find one. Nobody who is out there saying that it's all sunshine and roses has any actual clue as to what's going on. We're going to walk through some of the reasons why I'm saying this. I'm not going to just throw that out there and walk away. I'm going to walk you through a whole bunch of situations we're seeing financially out there that are boding very ill of the U.S. economy. And we're also seeing these things in other countries like the UK, Australia, and others. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and we deal in facts here. We deal with figures, and let's get into those figures. So the last 3 months of last year, Hasbro lost $1.06 billion. Now, normally, I don't deal in decimal points because it's easier just to round things off. But when we're talking about billions of dollars, decimal points are astronomically large. They laid off 1,100 employees in December. And we're hearing that they're going to go to a whole nother round of layoffs. Now, Hasbro is a toy company, right? That's what they do. They make toys. People aren't spending money on toys anymore or not buying nearly as many. That really goes to show that people are tightening their pocketbooks. They're focusing in on the things that they can actually afford, like and actually need: food, utilities, rent, housing, just the bare basics. People are not out there buying electric toy cars. Electric car sales have been dropping. Ford has discontinued the F-150 Lightning. They've stopped production and stopped deliveries on them. The dealerships already have too many of them. They can't sell them. So Ford has realized that we need to stop making these things because no one's buying them. I don't know who in their right mind was like, yeah, I think people who would buy a truck would like to buy an electric truck. I don't know what they were smoking at that meeting, but, you know, at least Elon Musk is like, well, if we're going to try to get these people to buy it, we gotta add some incentive. Let's make it bulletproof. Say what you say about that, but you know, that is something that appeals to truck enthusiasts, right? Oh, well, my truck's bulletproof. I mean, that may make up for the fact that it's electric, right? Anyways, so we have companies that have just gone all full woke, and they're finding that it's not working out so well. We see so many of these companies that do not understand their consumers. They believe that everything is sunshine and roses out there, and they're surprised to find consumers who don't think it is. Consumers that are trying to make hard decisions with their finances are not the people that are going to run out there and buy super expensive toys. Hasbro is finding that out. We're seeing luxury companies, we're seeing companies that deal with entertainment are being hit and hit hard. Paramount They decided that they're going to lay off 800 employees. Now, if you go through, I don't expect you to do this, but maybe some of you do this kind of stuff. If you actually go through the reporting meetings this quarter for fourth quarter last year, and it actually is for the whole year, companies will have like a company call, and they'll kind of explain how they did last year. They'll answer some questions from some reporters. What some will do is they'll actually go through these transcripts and they'll search for keywords and see how many times certain words pop up to see kind of what the general feel is out there. Some words that are being used at record levels, they've never been used this time before, cost controls. Another one, operational efficiency. Both those, of course, are keywords and codes for laying people off. They think they have too many people working for them, and they need to lay them off and try to get the people who are still there to operate more efficiently, right? Highest levels of conversation about that. Is it starting to feel like 2008 all over again? Yeah, it is. Companies are downgrading their workforces. They're laying people off. And we see that the banks are having serious issues too. And anyone who owns an office building, there was a large office building in Ohio that just sold for $9 per square foot. At that price, you almost kind of like, why don't you just buy it up and use it as a house, right? $9 per square foot. That was a FedEx building that got that purchased. We're seeing other buildings actually being torn down. There's an office building that's being torn down in Los Angeles in order to make way for I think it's 10 EV charging stations. They're tearing down a whole office building just to put in a few EV spots, EV chargers. And we won't get into that. The EV chargers and the billions and billions of dollars that the Biden administration has laid out in order to build EV chargers, and I think they've only built a handful of them. How much does an EV charger cost? Well, it depends whether it's built by the government or built by private equity. And if it's built by the government, it may cost billions of dollars per charger. Absolutely insane. We see banks are all over the place are shutting down branches. Now, they're not shutting down banks, and some people will say that. They'll, say that, banks shutting down. No, they're not shutting down. The branches are shutting down. The banks are still there. But why would these banks be shutting down all these branches? Isn't that their way of interacting with people and getting them to deposit money? Yeah. But they're shutting down these branches in order to save money. Why is everybody in cost-saving mode if everything's great? That's a simple question. If everything's great, why is everybody tightening up their purchases? Not just individuals, not just families. Consumers are definitely doing that, but then we're seeing that all these other companies are doing the same thing. Well, Steve, banks and blah, blah, blah. Talk about something that's a little closer to home. Okay, well, let's talk about Walmart's. Walmart, over the past year, has shut down 23 stores. They have 102 less stores than they did last year. Now, they sold a bunch of those off. They sold 79 stores off, but they shut down 23 stores, 8 of which were all in one state. And if you're like, California? No, in Illinois, which is not what you'd expect. But they can't do business in Chicago anymore. They can't do business around Chicago. They're shutting down those stores because of rampant thefts and the lack of rule of law in that state. Walmart's just done with it. But the fact that Walmart is shutting down stores should, if they have to tighten their purse, if they have to cut back on what they're spending, that should be a bit of a warning. When people have money, they like to shop at not Walmart. But when times get tough, they have a tendency to go back to Walmart. They go back to the Dollar Tree. When they need to save money, that's where they go and shop. So that's why dollar stores and nickel and dime stores have historically done well in economic downturns. They actually do quite well. Dollar Tree actually made out like a bandit back in 2008. So when we see discount grocers, discount stores like Walmart really struggling, that tells us either A, the economy is going really, really well, or it's going so poorly that even they are feeling it. And I'm going to tell you, it's number two. The fact that people can't even afford stuff at Walmart should tell you how bad the American economy is, how bad the American consumer is off. Even Google is laying off people right now. Now, they had their disastrous Gemini launch where all their woke nonsense came out in AI form. Kind of scary, but we got that. We got home foreclosures. Foreclosures on homes, 38,000 last month. That's up 10% as compared to the previous month. Home foreclosures are doing this. People can't afford their homes. And so they're walking out on them, walking out on their loans. They're realizing slowly but surely that they're upside down on their loans. They owe more money on their house than their house is worth. House prices are starting to come down. Does it sound like 2008? It sure sounds like an echo of 2008. It sounds like a repeat, or at least like it's rhyming. All we're waiting for now is the stock market crash. All we're waiting for is some bank to come in and say, yeah, we said we had this much money, but we really actually don't have any money at all. For one bank to look at the other bank and say, you owe us a whole bunch of money, let's have you pay up. And that other bank to say, well, we don't actually have your money. Sorry. And banks will start defaulting. This is what happened in 2008. We had a cascading failures of banks. They needed to up their collateral on a bunch of these loans that they had because they had to start marking these loans as actually as defunct as they were. They kept pretending like the mortgage, the subprime mortgages that they had were really valuable, but they started to realize that these things are toxic assets. They don't have any money in them. And as they started to realize that, they started having to up their cash and they just didn't have enough. As things imploded out there, the federal government had to come in and bail them out. And we're in a similar situation here again today, is that the U.S. economy is imploding and the banks are pretending like everything's fine. You know that things aren't fine. You do have friends and family members who are experiencing things not being fine, or perhaps you are yourself. And we know, because we have to live in this country, that we have serious problems. Tucker Carlson went over to Russia and was looking at some of the infrastructure over there and asking, why can't we have nice things in America? Well, because every time we build nice things in America, other people come along and ruin them, and the police don't do anything about it. We can't have nice things in America because we don't have any money in America. When I went to Boston, I was walking around downtown Boston, kind of like watching as I was walking out of the core, I watched the buildings get shorter and shorter and shorter. And then I suddenly saw this building that went even taller than some of the highest buildings in the downtown area. I'm like, as you go away from downtown, the buildings get shorter and shorter, right? Why would this building suddenly get so much taller? And it was so very nice. It was like ridiculously nice. Then I reserved that. Then I discovered that was the Federal Reserve building in Boston. It was like they could print all the money that they wanted in the world, and so they built this absolutely insane, crazy building. They had like a 3-story Federal Reserve seal on the inside of the building. It was absolutely insane. The Federal Reserve doesn't have to deal with the real world. The federal government employees and government employees don't have to deal with the real world like you and I do. Out here in real world, people are losing their jobs. I know federal government agencies never lose their jobs, no matter how incompetent they are, no matter how criminal they are. But yet out here in real world, people who haven't done anything wrong, who have done their jobs well, are losing their jobs and they can't find new jobs. Things are going downhill fast. All right, friends, some of you guys noticed that the Texas flag disappeared for a few videos. That was just because I always take that down for the Bible study videos on my other channel, and because I don't think it's appropriate to have that on the Bible channel. There shouldn't be any flags when it comes to Bible studies. So it goes up and it goes down, and I forgot to put it back up. All right, friends, I will see you guys again later. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report.